How does animal agriculture help the species? How quiet? How does animal agriculture help the species? 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 How does animal agriculture help the species?
I mean, it helped us by increasing our ability to trade. Anything that contributes to
okay, well, it doesn't do that anymore. Doesn't do that anymore.
Because it prevents us from getting into wars.
Sorry, killing cows prevents us from getting into wars.
Trading is something that definitely assuages war. When you're sharing resources, because certain areas are ripe for certain crops.
You're telling me you eat cows to prevent wars. You eat cows from China to prevent wars? Does animal agriculture prevent wars, yes or no? Does animal agriculture prevent wars, yes or no? Does animal agriculture prevent wars, yes or no? Does animal agriculture prevent wars, yes or no?
That's your question to me.
So some of you may have just seen a video put up by Vegan Gains. I don't know if it really can be described as a debate, but that shows you just what an awful person Aimee K is. Vegan Gains confronted and tried to deal with in a systematic way questions of whether or not a vegan diet would be better for ecology, human health, and ethics in terms of the impact on animals, foundational issues of veganism. And for over an hour, you just got to see what an awful excuse for a human being Aimee K is. Now, some of you might be really surprised to hear, I already did this. I already had a debate with this same woman. And just like the video from Vegan Gains, it would be really hard to even describe that as a debate.
How does animal agriculture benefit humanity? 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 You can't use food supply because we've already debunked that, so how does animal agriculture benefit humanity?
How does your conduct right now...
How does animal agriculture benefit humanity?
Unlike Richard, my conversation with her was much more devastating. It was really intended to reduce her to tears, and it pretty much worked. That was on live voice chat on Discord, and she was not alone. She had like 5 friends backing her up. There were maybe only like 3 other people really actively talking, but there were these other dudes there, and I was taking them all on as a group. And one of the reasons why I was, frankly, so mean and so devastating was that when I came into the room, they were not saying at all what Aimee K says, I think insincerely in this video, that they had any kind of positive reason to be engaged with vegans.
Okay, so you agree that veganism is a superior moral position.
I'm here because
So you agree that veganism is a superior moral position.
Be a better vegan.
They were really openly discussing the extent to which they were trying to humiliate and sabotage the vegan movement with what they were doing on YouTube and on other social media platforms. So, there's obviously a level in which I just don't take kindly to that. You guys hear me on this channel really positively saying all the time, look in the mirror, ask yourself, what kind of person do you really want to be? What kind of person do you aspire to be? I very often use rhetoric like, look, the ultimate product of the vegan movement isn't a dairy-free chocolate bar in a package. It isn't soy milk. It isn't a veggie burger. It isn't one thing or another. The product is you. Like, what we're questioning here ultimately is, what kind of man do I want to be? What kind of woman do I be? What kind of person do I want to be? And that kind of positive aspiration is something you have to kind of harness when you talk about people's motivation to be really committed to veganism, rather than just being some kind of reducitarian or somebody who says they kind of sort of try to do the right thing, but who aren't really committed to never doing the wrong thing. So that positive aspirational side I use a lot on this channel when I talk to people face to face about veganism, and I do have the experience many times of converting people to veganism in real life. I use that positively. But the main thing I used in my engagement with my debate with Aimee K was the same method, but really flipped around and used negatively. So in that discussion, she and her friends, they really felt that their strong suit to play was to say that veganism was a failure as a movement. And then they were very surprised when, instead of debating that with them, I agreed with them but wanted to press forward further. I said, you're right. It's a failure. We haven't achieved any of our goals. Our goals are enormous. Our ambitions to make the world a place, they're tremendous. And we haven't accomplished any of them, and we've made almost zero progress towards them. We've made so little. We have this enormous goal to abolish, whatever you want to say, abolish slaughterhouses, have this ecological and cultural change, and so on. But then I turned around and I said, what about you? What are your goals? What movements have you been a part of? And they were really stunned by that. And it's, what are you doing in the next 5 years? What have you done in the last 5 years? And I was asking those questions sincerely, but there was also a sense in which what I was doing was simply in a very mean and emotionally devastating way, drawing them in and drawing them out to a place where they really got hurt. They really got emotionally beat up in this debate. There were a lot of witnesses to that. I don't know how many people were in the room on Discord, but there were a bunch of people, and they were just blown away because they'd never heard me really lay into somebody that way. They'd never heard me where I'm just psychologically devastating the person I'm talking to, where there's no mercy and there's no kindness. As that progressed, I really took them apart, but it really was specifically and especially Aimee K herself. So at this point, this question of how much do I want to digress to talk about this? Aimee K, I do not think, was born stupid. If you even just look at the way she puts a sentence together and her vocabulary, I don't think she was someone who was born with like a biological limit on her intelligence. I think she's someone who's really chosen to be stupid, and she's someone who was just good looking enough, just cute enough as a woman, that she could basically get away with learning nothing as she went through the motions of her education and job and career path and so on.
Cool. So let's sum things up. I think I'm pretty satisfied with how this went.
Problem with me. A lot of people do. I'm fucking adorable, okay? And people don't like it.
One of the points where I drew her in, she really got upset and was breaking down about her own lack of ambition. Because I talked with them a lot about ambition. I didn't make the point of the debate veganism. When I took them on, I made the point of the debate the ambition to make the world a better place. Let's debate that. And maybe veganism is just one imperfect way that we're all trying to make the world a better place. But I said to them, you know what? You're right, veganism's a failure. And I have a lot of experience with failure. When I went to First Nations University and I was trying to study Cree and Ojibwe, I wanted to be involved with Indigenous peoples' politics, language education, preventing these languages from going insane. And you know what? I failed. And so far, that whole movement is failing. And it's so sad to me to think that those languages are going to go extinct. Ottawa, during my lifetime, the Ottawa language, by the way, Ottawa is the name of a city in Canada. It's the name of a capital city in Canada. You've never met anyone in your life who speaks the Ottawa language. You've never seen a street sign or a newspaper in that language because the language is going extinct in my lifetime. And that's really shameful and really sad and is going to leave a cloud. It's going to leave whatever you want to say it, a black mark over the kind of moral and historical record of Canada. It's yet another little step on our slow motion genocide. But I said, you know what? I was involved in these issues where, for me personally, it's a failure. And nationally or globally, you can look at it as a failure. There were humanitarian projects in Laos and Cambodia and Southeast Asia generally, and I saw these things rise and fall, and I had my little part in the project, whether it was a hands-on part or more of a research role, I was doing more of the thinking and studying, but I was part of projects where you saw they were a failure. A project that tried to give medical care to poor people, and it failed. But you know what we had? We had the aspiration and the ambition to do something positive. What about you, Aimee? What have you got? What have you done in the last 5 years? And what are you doing in the next 5 years right now? And drawing her in and then dealing with those questions that way. It was devastating to her. It was devastating to the guy who did the most of the talking on her side, her male friend who was backing her up. And in the end, that debate, aside from showing, people in the comments are just saying, God, like, Isel, that was so savage. Like, I can't believe you really took these people apart. A lot of people were just blown away. And I heard about it from other people. And there was just this kind of word of mouth. Like, whoa, Isel had this debate with Aimee K that was just unbelievably vicious. Other people who weren't there asked me about it. And, of course, a lot of people asked if there was a recording or a video. And there was nothing like that. It was a totally spontaneous, unplanned thing. But what it illustrated to me, above all else, was the extent to which Aimee herself was jealous of what we have going on in veganism. And when I was doing that humanitarian work, I met and talked to people who were just on vacation in Laos, Thailand, Cambodia, whatever. And they would sometimes meet me and assume I was a tourist also, or sometimes they'd meet me and assume I was in the army, like just the way I look. They think I was there with the U.S. military or something. But whatever there's something they'd ask, and then they'd find out about the humanitarian work I was doing, they'd find out about the research I was doing and the languages I was studying, whatever it was they found out about. And sometimes, there was a mix of admiration and jealousy. And sometimes there was a really kind of much more negative, resentful jealousy because the people were thinking about their own lives. They were even thinking about what they were thinking about what they were doing on that vacation. But they were maybe thinking about the last 5 years of their lives and the next 5 years of their lives and where they're going. And a lot of people in 21st century culture are carrying around that burden of resentment with themselves all the time. A lot of people are burdened with, and to some extent crippled by, the awareness that they were capable of something better. They were capable of something more. They ought to have had some positive aspiration. Maybe not the cure for cancer, maybe not to feed starving people in Laos, maybe not, providing medical care to poor people in Cambodia, maybe not veganism or helping animals on farms, but that they should have had something. And what they have is nothing. And Aimee K, who she is and what she is a naturally cute, attractive, good-looking woman who is now 30 years old. She's older than you think. She's probably missed her window of opportunity to get married, have a baby, and have a family. She's missed her window of opportunity to get an education and have a career. She squandered those opportunities. I talked about her with this at some length. She missed her opportunity to learn any language other than English, even though she had family members who spoke other languages. She missed her opportunity to do humanitarian work in India, although she had family members connected to that. So she has regrets about passing all that up. And she is a nobody. And she is on the internet trying to be a somebody. But she's missing that crucial link that we as vegans have, or as vegan activists, or vegans aspiring to do something positive, something we have, which is that we become somebody not through being fame whores or gossiping or entertainment, all this bullshit, not through song and dance, right? That you become a somebody through your ambitions, right? And in the pursuit of your ambitions, you transform who you are, all right? We're all born ignorant. We are all born ignorant. In case you guys think I was just came out of the womb knowing any of this stuff I know, or even caring about this stuff. I grew up playing Sega Master System. I grew up playing Sega Genesis. I think I've got here. Yo, shout out Toe Jam and Earl, okay? When I talk about, meaningful influences in my life, I also grew up with garbage, lowbrow, Western culture. I didn't have, I didn't have any kind of special advantage in my childhood. But at some point, you decide to take life seriously. At some point, even something like my engagement with Laos, it has to start with an awareness. Like, wow, there's this historical tragedy I know nothing about. I just learned about it. The United States dropped more bombs on this country than they dropped on Germany and Japan in World War II. There's this whole history. There's this culture. There's the ancient Buddhism. There's the modern war, communism, poverty. All this stuff is going on. Hey, can I make a positive difference? I can, but I'm going to have to work hard as hell. I literally went to Toronto Metro Reference Library. That's a free library. You don't even pay $1 to go in the. I went into that library and I took every book off that bookshelf for a long series of languages: Cambodian, Laotian, Sinhalese. I hit the books even in deciding which language I was going to learn. I studied the history, the politics, the philosophy, the language. And, I don't even want to make it sound that academic. When I was there, I wasn't a tourist, even when I was just talking to a farmer and learning about what was going on in agriculture. When you talk to, the people in that sense, when you talk to the common people, when you get down in the dirt and get your hands and feet dirty and talk, just really learn what's going on in one of these cultures, or, where a lot of the information is kind of secret and verbal and not written down. Don't have freedom of the press. They don't have free speech on the radio or newspapers. If you want to know what's going on, even in your own neighborhood or in the economy or something, where you're really, and you know what? That changed me because I wanted to change. I didn't want to be at 31 years old the same guy I was at 21 years old. And I didn't want to be at 21 years old the same guy who played, video games at age 11, right? Getting older is not getting wiser. You're going to change when you commit to change. And this girl, Aimee K, she also reminds me of a lot of moralizing you find in ancient Buddhist philosophy in the canon.
Am I such a bad person? Am I?
You're not trying to talk, you're deliberately trying to be dishonest.
You can think I'm dumb, okay?
She was born just clever enough to be dumb. You know what I mean? She's just clever enough to make excuses for her own stupidity and stay stupid because she's not learning the lessons from her stupidity. And she's just cute enough and good looking enough and charming enough, especially as a young woman. I mean, it's gonna be over now. You run out of time with that bullshit. That she could smile and be evasive and change the subject and, kind of wink and giggle at people and get through life without really getting caught out in her mistakes, with not really bearing the consequences of, her actions and her stupidity. You're just clever enough to keep on being stupid. You're just cute enough to get away with this. I have no idea. I don't have no idea what kind of work history she has, but she admitted to me that she's basically never had a real job in her life. She's never had any real career or education. I don't know if she used to fold t-shirts at a clothing shop or work behind the counter at a designer clothes warehouse or something. I don't know if she's had Joe jobs like that. But again, when she was really breaking down with me in our debate, she admitted that she's never had any sense of direction or purpose in life, any career. She's never had any ambition, even to earn money or get an education or have a decent job. She's never had an ambition to do anything. But what she responds to in veganism, what it was she's trying to lash out at and really, in a sense, destroy, is exactly seeing a morally defined, highly motivated subculture of people trying to do something positive. We're people who have exactly what she lacks. So look, man, you guys may not know the song. There's a Leonard Cohen song.
And she shows you where to look among the garbage and the flowers. There are heroes in the seaweed. There are children in the morning. They are leading out for love. They will lean that way forever while Suzanne holds the mirror.
They're leaning out for love. They will lean that way forever. Most human beings are defined by terrible, terrible needs, by desires they never really come to understand themselves. And a lot of people do not grow up. And I've said this before also. I don't think veganism is for children. I don't think veganism is, really, some people, you see it here, are just too stupid to be vegan. It's a tragedy, but it's true. People are going to grow up when they choose to grow up. And veganism is one of these uncomfortable, sobering social messages that says to people, hey, yeah, all those excuses you have in your life, all of them, grow up.
You want to travel with her, and you want to travel blind, and you think that you can trust him. Boy's touched your perfect body with his mind.
À-bas-le-ciel.